Hi there, Teacher Nancy again. It's been a while, been kind of a wild and crazy semester for me, so I was a bit out of pocket as far as these videos go. I passed 100 subscribers to my channel, which I've got to admit completely blew my mind. I was so certain that the only people watching my videos were my husband and my mom, just for the moral support. And so when I saw that I actually had more than 100 subscribers, it was just like, it was great. So thank you. Thank you guys so much. This may end up being like a multi-part video where I actually do several different installments because there's so much that I want to say, and I'm kind of doubting I'll be able to get it all under 15 minutes. This has been a topic that has been on my mind for a few years, and I've been talking to a lot of colleagues about it. This applies to VIP kid, applies to college, it applies to elementary, it applies to just about every level. It's been on my mind a lot, but every time that I am logging into the VIP Kid Teacher portal and it says, or at least currently, it says, rediscover the joy of online teaching. To be perfectly honest, when I first saw that, rediscover the joy of online teaching, my very first thought was, joy? Because I'll be honest, as a college instructor, I don't love teaching online classes. Every semester I have at least one, sometimes two or three, and it's just kind of like, okay, I guess I have to. But I really, where my passion is in the classroom, where I get to see the students and respond to them and interact with them, and that interaction is really what fuels me as a teacher. When I first started teaching with VIP Kid last summer, one of the first things that I noticed was what a game changer this type of platform really is. Because, and this is where the title, Adapt to Survive, is really coming from. Online instruction, online education, it is not going anywhere. Will not be going anywhere. Many, both teachers and students have said, I just hate online classes. Okay. Get used to them because they're not going anywhere. They are just getting bigger. Every semester, there's more and more demand for online classes. And there's 100 different reasons for it. So when online learning first began, and we're talking long time ago, so like decades, it was very different then. One of the things that is consistent is change. So don't get too comfortable with anything because it will be changing. And when it comes to technology, specifically, well, in any area of life, technology changes more rapidly than just about anything else. In education, it is also going to make a huge change. And that is why, as educators, it is super important that we be willing to constantly learn, continuous learning, continuously educating ourselves, because this change, it's not that we have to be absolutely cutting edge technology to be good teachers. No, but technology is a part. It just is. If you refuse to learn how to do any technology, you are going to be very limited, because you cannot just continue to do things the way that they've been done for decades and generations and expect to have the same output, because it's a completely different ballgame now. Okay? It's sad but true. It's just how it is. Another thing that I wanted to talk about in this online education, Adapt to Survive. I've mentioned this in previous videos, and I'm not trying to beat a dead horse, but it's applicable. So whenever it's applicable, I bring it up. I went to college straight out of high school, but did not finish, did not get my degree. So I went back to college about 12, 13, 14, somewhere in there, years after when I went back, you've got to understand, I was not particularly tech savvy, and that was actually by choice. It was almost on principle that I wanted to be as low tech as I could feasibly get by with. Okay, so yes, I had a cell phone. We had a house computer. That was about it. I didn't really do anything much on the computer by choice. Didn't email much. I mean, so I'm talking about pretty low tech. And when I went back to school, and everything had changed. I mean, at least half of every class I took, I was required to know how to do things on the computer, whether it was working Microsoft Word or, logging into my email or submitting things online or whatever it was. It didn't matter whether it was a face-to-face course, an online course, didn't matter. Half of it at least was technology web-based. Okay. So that was kind of a shock, a culture shock for me, I guess, if you will. And I realized I can't afford, as an adult, I cannot afford to be caught flat-footed anymore. I've got to at least keep learning something technologically based on a regular basis. I've got to, because everything is changing so fast. If I don't want to learn something brand new that is huge, and I don't, okay, because I'm an adult and I'm busy, I need to keep this learning ball rolling. I've mentioned this in a previous video. We are absolutely capable of learning. Yes, we know that kids tend to be like sponges, okay? They've still got these spongy neurons, okay, that are just capable of just, soaking up knowledge before they get to the age of something called synaptic pruning, which is when all of the neurons that are not used, all of the connections that have not been made, those neurons, if they're not needed, okay, you don't use it, you lose it. That's exactly what's going on with synaptic pruning. And as adults, our synaptic pruning happened many, 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 many moons ago. We do not have the spongy neurons, but, and I've mentioned this before, we do have plasticity, okay? We have the ability to make new synaptic connections all the way up until brain death, okay? So even as adults, yes, you can teach an old dog new tricks, just in case you were wondering. The answer is yes. It's just harder, okay? Because it's harder, okay, not a bad idea for us as adults to try to learn a little bit at a time, okay? Because we don't have the spongy neurons like we did when we were younger, okay? Like the students that we teach, many of them, we don't have that ability anymore, but we can still learn. So do it in a way that actually works with you, step by step by step. Because it's much easier as adults to learn something small, work on it by habit, okay? Then you don't have to focus on it as much. Once it becomes a habit, then we can move it to a different part of our brain, different part of our memory. We don't have to waste our very precious working memory space on something that has become a habit. So learn something, move it into habit, then you can learn something else. Okay, as adult learners in particular, that's much more effective than trying to learn this big, huge, complicated stuff all at one time and try to keep it in working memory. We don't have enough room for that. Okay, so anytime that I could do that, learn something about the computer, learn something about these processing programs, once I could do that and had a pretty good handle on it, then I just freed up my working memory to learn something else, usually about whatever course it was I was taking at the time. All right. All of that just to say continuous learning, okay? Those are going to be the most effective and the most successful teachers, the ones that continue not just to teach, but to learn, okay? Because everything about this is changing far too fast, Okay, we've got to adapt to survive. Have to. Okay, otherwise we're going to be left in the dust and we will lose our realm of influence. I hope you learned something. As you can tell, this stuff is very important to me. I'm very passionate about some of this. And I just appreciate that you guys are willing to listen to anything I have to say. It's kind of crazy that you actually are watching some of these videos. So thank you so much. Feel free to subscribe to my channel. Hope you have a great day, and I'll see you whenever life gets less crazy and I can squeeze in some time to make a video.